Our film begins in 1914 with a Navy officer named Aren. He's taken a post on a Navy ship and is being sent to an island where he will work for a year as a weather observer. This island is very remote and strange. You could say it's abandoned, as it lies out in the Atlantic Ocean. The voyage has already lasted 67 days, and they're in the middle of the sea trying to reach the island. It's the last day of their trip, and they're almost there. Aren, our protagonist, is standing smoking when he goes to the captain, Solo, and asks, "Why did you choose to come and work on this strange island?" Aren doesn't answer the question, and after they arrive and disembark, they walk up to the house where Aren will live. The house is ancient and looks abandoned. No one currently lives there. The captain is worried for him and says, "You can still change your mind. We can leave. It might be better for you." He adds, "It will be hard living here alone. You won't hold out, and there's no security." But Aren is sure about his decision and refuses to go back. Aren and the captain go to explore the island more. There's a lighthouse there that's still working, inhabited for years by a man named Kerner. He's the only other person who lives on the island. They notice that both the lighthouse and the house are surrounded by wooden fences like a fort, even though nobody else lives on the island who would need that protection. Before they reach the lighthouse, they find a fountain spouting water. On its wall is written Kerner's. The ship's crew doesn't go with them, afraid, and they stay beside the ship watching. The captain stays with Aren, and they climb up to the lighthouse. They knock but nobody opens, so they enter and find a gentleman sleeping. They wake him. It's Kerner, an old man who lives there alone. The captain asks him where the weather official who used to be there is. Kerner tells them he died some time ago because of a virus, and his body was taken by the sea. At that point, it's time for the captain and his crew to leave. Before they go, the captain wants to give Aren a weapon in case he needs anything, but Aren refuses and says, "I won't need it here." Then they leave. Aren goes to the house where he'll live, the same house the previous weather official lived in. He starts arranging things in the office and finds a diary full of drawings of many strange animals that don't exist in our real world. Aren thinks it must be the previous official's imagination. He likes the drawings and doesn't take them too seriously. As far as he knows, those creatures don't exist in reality. He doesn't attach great importance to it. The next day, on his first day of work, he goes out by the sea, atop the cliff, to observe the weather. By chance, he sees some strange circles on the rock, and when he examines them, he finds shells inside. He doesn't pay much attention and continues his duties. At the same time, he watches Kerner in the lighthouse through his binoculars because he's a bit afraid of him. That night, when Aren returns to the house, he hears noises outside. At first, he assumes it's just Kerner and calls out his name to check, but gets no answer. The sounds grow closer and louder around the house. Then he sees a hand coming in from under the door. Terrified, he kicks at the hand until it withdraws, then runs to hide in the storeroom and shuts its door. He sees a strange eye peeking through a crack. He's scared and clutches the knife he has with him and stays hidden, terrified, until morning. When he emerges from the storeroom, he finds the house stained with blood and messenger marks, and when he goes outside, he sees many footprints scattered on the path toward the sea. He thinks it can't be the prints of just one person. At that moment, he heads to the lighthouse, stands beneath it, and calls to Kerner to explain what's happening, but Kerner refuses to speak with him. Kerner empties water on him from above and tells him, "If you had come back with the captain, I would have spared you all this fear." There, Aren realizes he is truly in danger. He immediately returns to the house, barricades and reinforces the doors so no one can get in, and digs a trench around the house, filling it with wooden spikes and makeshift defenses to protect himself should anything happen. Inside the house, he finds a weapon and cartridges and takes them to defend himself for that night. He waits as night falls. He hears the creatures coming from the sea and attacking the house. No matter how much he pounds the boards with wood, they are determined and trying to enter by any means. He stands in the middle of the house as one of them begins to wedge open a crack and slip through. When he sees how huge the creatures are and realizes he cannot defeat them, he lights the trench on fire. His plan works. The fire burns and the creatures flee. But the flames also catch the house, built of wood, and it begins to burn. Aren grabs a blanket, or maybe a coat, and flees the burning house. He hides under a cliff until morning. When he returns to the house, he finds it entirely burned and now has nowhere to live. He decides to go to the lighthouse because it's the only option left. He goes and hides, watching for Kerner to come out so he can sneak up. He hides beneath a waterfall. Kerner emerges and a creature among those monsters is sitting nearby. It didn't see Aren and was about to attack him, but Kerner arrives at the last moment and restrains it, telling it to be quiet and not to come near the place. The creature calms and doesn't attack. Kerner and Aren go to the burned house and take what remains inside, the weapons and anything that might be useful. Kerner then asks Aren why he still lives here among these monsters and why he didn't leave with the ship when it came. Kerner says he no longer wanted to live in the city among the headaches and daily troubles. He liked life here because he felt like a king on the island. But Aren has another opinion. He says he will wait only until the ship returns and then leave. Meanwhile, he lives on embers, waiting only to know when the ship will arrive. During these days, the creatures always want to play with Aren and keep approaching him. Later, Kerner tells him to prepare and climb to the top of the lighthouse. They'll wait for nightfall because the monsters will attack then, and they will begin to kill them. They prepare and climb, and when darkness falls, the monsters come out and head toward the lighthouse. The creature named Ernie only watched from afar and did nothing, while Kerner started shooting at the others. Aren was completely shocked by the sight, so much so that he froze, unable to move. In the end, he fainted and fell unconscious. Later, when he woke up in a water tank, Kerner was furious with him. He told Aren, "You're a coward, and I can't rely on you." It's worth noting that the creature Ernie was actually being kept by Kerner. She was his captive. Kerner told Aren, "Tomorrow you'd better be ready, because we're going back up to the lighthouse and we'll start killing them again. It'll be your last chance." The following night, they both went up and waited for the creatures to come out. But as soon as they appeared, Kerner locked Aren outside and left him alone to fight them. It was extremely dangerous for him, as the monsters tried to climb up the lighthouse. Kerner didn't open the door for him until morning. When he finally did, he was shocked to see Aren still standing, alive but covered in blood, and from his expression, he looked like a completely different person. That was the beginning of a new life for him. The peaceful life he had once dreamed of on this island had turned into an endless war against creatures unlike anything he'd ever seen. He remained in this state for 3 months, struggling every day to survive. Each day was a battle to stay alive. One day, he came up with an idea. He told Kerner, "We need to understand why these creatures keep attacking us. Maybe Ernie is somehow calling them to her, in some way." Then he asked him, "How could you fall in love with a creature from another species, and on top of that, fight her kind every night, trying to kill them?" Kerner explained things from his own point of view, but even so, the way he treated Ernie was cruel. He beat her and spoke harshly to her. Aren, on the other hand, felt pity for her and treated her kindly, giving her food and caring for her. Kerner noticed this and didn't like it at all. One night, while they were sitting together, Aren said, "Why don't we capture one of these creatures and hand it over to the Americans? They could study its genes and discover where these beings come from." They got caught up in the discussion until suddenly, one of the creatures climbed up to them and reached the window, strangely greeting them. They immediately opened fire on it, but when they looked outside, they saw a massive number of them coming. It was one of the worst nights they'd ever faced. One of the monsters reached Kerner and almost killed him. They ran out of ammunition and retreated into the inner room, locking themselves inside, waiting for death since there was nowhere left to escape. But fortunately, the sun began to rise, and the creatures withdrew back to the sea. The next day, Aren was by the shore and saw a ship passing in the distance. He climbed up to send a signal for rescue, but Kerner stopped him, knocking him to the ground, saying, "I don't want anyone to save me. I can defend myself alone." At that moment, Ernie appeared, and for the first time, she acted on her own. She attacked Kerner to defend Aren. Kerner became furious and tried to hit her, but Aren stopped him and defended her. The poor creature took the chance to escape. Aren was furious. The ship was gone, and with it his only chance to escape the island. Days passed. Ernie was still alive and stayed around them, but Kerner continued to control and abuse her. One day, Aren carved a small boat out of stone as a gift for her. When she saw it, she was happy and pulled him along to a cliff where there was a small real boat, one that looked like the toy he had made, as if she wanted to show it to him. Aren was overjoyed and immediately went to Kerner to tell him. But when he did, Kerner wasn't surprised. He already knew about the small boat. He refused to use it and told Aren, "It's too dangerous out there. You don't know what you'll find in that sea." He explained that the boat came from a Portuguese ship that had been smuggling dynamite. The ship had sunk, and some of the crew escaped using that small boat, managing to reach the island, but they didn't survive the night, as the creatures attacked and killed them. The boat was left abandoned there. Then Aren had another idea. "Why don't we go to that sunken ship, retrieve the dynamite, and use it to blow up the creatures all at once?" Kerner didn't like the idea and didn't answer. Later, Aren began coating the small boat with waterproof paint to keep it from leaking. While working, he saw Ernie swimming nearby. He joined her in the water, swimming beside her, while Kerner watched from afar, displeased. Eventually, Kerner approached Oren and said, "Fine, I agree with your dynamite plan." They prepared themselves, took the small boat, and set out for the wrecked ship. It was still visible and not too far from the island, but Kerner had a bad feeling about it. When they arrived, Oren put on a diving suit and descended into the water. He began pulling up boxes of dynamite and signaling Kerner to haul them up. Suddenly, a creature appeared out of nowhere, startling him. He fell deeper underwater. Kerner was ready to abandon him if something went wrong, but Oren managed to fight off the creature and struggled his way up. Luckily, Kerner felt pity for him and helped him out of the water, though Oren was exhausted and freezing from the cold. They returned to the island and placed the dynamite around the lighthouse and along the cliffs, preparing for a massive explosion. But what terrified them more was that winter had begun, the season when nights are longest, giving the creatures more time to come ashore and attack. On the first night with the explosives ready, they stood guard, waiting for the creatures, but none appeared. When morning came, Kerner, who had stayed up all night on watch, was nearly frozen. The next day, they were both puzzled as to why no monsters had shown up. When her knee came bringing them food, Kerner struck her, accusing, "You warned your friends about the dynamite, that's why they didn't come." Oren defended her, stopping him from hitting her. That night, they waited, and again, the creatures didn't come. Then Kerner dragged her knee out, threatening her with a gun, forcing her to scream and call out to her kind. He even beat her until she cried out, and soon, one creature appeared. They quickly killed it, but then they saw many more emerging from the sea. They grabbed their weapons, and as the monsters approached the dynamite line, they fired, and a massive explosion erupted, destroying everything. The blast killed all the creatures, but Kerner and Oren were also knocked unconscious by the explosion. The next morning, when they woke up, they found countless bodies of the creatures scattered everywhere along the shore. And like that, they made sure the rest of the creatures would be too scared to attack again. But Oren felt regret and shock. His emotions were mixed. Still, every night he kept watch, because he was still afraid. From that night on, no one ever came near them again. Oren often heard the sound of the wind carrying cries and sorrow. One day, while he was standing by the sea, he saw two creatures in the distance. He wondered why they didn't attack him. Then an idea came to him. He made a circle of stones and placed inside it the little boat decoration he had built. After that, he returned to the lighthouse, where he found Kerner working on stronger explosives than before. The next day, Oren went down to that stone circle he had made, but the decoration was gone. Soon, he saw one of the creatures, a small one, like a child, holding it. To avoid scaring it, Oren set down his torch and slowly approached. The creature didn't get frightened. Then Arnis appeared. She had escaped the night of the explosion, and there were other creatures with her too. None of them hurt Oren. He felt calm and relieved, but then Kerner showed up with a weapon and started shooting at them. Oren stopped him, saying, "They came seeking peace, not war. That little one is Arnis's child. They attacked us before because they only wanted to take Arnis back. You were the one who took her from them." But Kerner wasn't peaceful. He only wanted to fight, and he didn't want Arnis to be separated from him. That's why he made those new explosives, and he started killing them all. Poor Arnis's child was killed at that moment. Oren wanted to stop him, so he fought with him. Kerner almost killed Oren, but things turned against him. Overcome with anger and guilt, he lost control of himself, and he walked down toward the creatures, surrendering himself to them. They were full of hatred for him. As soon as he got close, they caught him, tore him apart, and devoured him until nothing was left. Oren was shocked by what he saw, but the creatures didn't come near him. He stayed alone like that, month after month, until a year passed. They never attacked again. During that time, Oren changed a lot. When the Navy fleet finally arrived to take Oren and inspect the lighthouse, no one even recognized him. His hair and beard had grown long, and they mistook him for Kerner. They asked him, "Where's the Navy officer?" Oren said he had fallen ill with a fever and died, so they left. Oren decided to continue his life as Kerner, alone on that island, with the strange creatures he had discovered. And that's how our movie ends.